My mother decided to give my inheritance to her new husband's daughter. She claimed that Quintessa needed it more than I did. I walked away with a silent smile, but the truth hit me hard at the lawyer's office. The day my mother betrayed me began like any other family gathering, filled with forced smiles and hollow pleasantries. I stood in our family's grand living room, watching my stepfather, Marcus, arrange fresh-cut roses in an antique vase while my mother paced near her mahogany desk, glancing at her watch every few minutes. My name is Alex, and I had spent the last 3 years working alongside my mother at her company, learning every aspect of the business she promised would one day be mine. That promise died today. "Everyone, please sit down," my mother announced, her voice carrying that authoritative tone I had grown up respecting. "I have an important announcement to make." Quintessa, my stepsister, lounged across the leather armchair with a smug expression that made my stomach churn. At 22, she had never worked a day in her life, preferring to spend her time partying and posting about her so-called entrepreneurial mindset on social media. "As you know," my mother continued, "I've been considering the future of our family business." She smiled at Marcus, who beamed back at her. "After careful consideration, I've decided to transfer majority ownership and control to Quintessa." The words hit me like a physical blow. I gripped the armrest of the sofa, my knuckles turning white. "What?" The word came out as a whisper. "It makes perfect sense," Marcus chimed in, placing his hand on Quintessa's shoulder. "A fresh perspective is exactly what the company needs." "Mom," I managed to say, fighting to keep my voice steady. "We talked about this. I've been working there for 3 years. I have an MBA. I know every client, every supplier." "Alex, please," my mother cut me off, raising her hand. "This decision wasn't made lightly. Quintessa has some innovative ideas that align better with our future vision." When Quintessa leaned forward, her designer watch glinting in the afternoon light, she said, "Don't worry, bro. I'll make sure to keep you on in some capacity. Maybe in HR." I stood up abruptly, my legs shaking. "Some capacity? Mom, you promised me. You said." "Things change, Alex," Marcus interrupted. "We have to think about what's best for the family." "The family?" I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. "I am your family. I'm your son." My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. "You'll still receive your salary, of course, but Quintessa will be taking over as CEO next month." "Next month?" The room started spinning. "You've already decided everything?" "The paperwork is being finalized," my mother said, finally looking at me. "I'm sorry if this disappoints you, but it's what's best for everyone." I grabbed my bag, nearly knocking over a side table in my haste. "Congratulations, Quintessa," I managed to say, proud that my voice didn't crack. "I hope you enjoy running the company I spent 3 years helping to build." "Alex, don't be dramatic," Marcus called after me as I headed for the door. "This is exactly why we needed someone more level-headed in charge." I paused at the doorway, turning back one last time. "Mom?" She still wouldn't look at me. "We can discuss this later, Alex." "No," I said quietly. "We won't." I walked out of that house with my head held high, waited until I reached my car, and then let the tears fall. My phone buzzed with a message from my best friend, Ryan. "How did it go?" I started the engine, my vision blurring. "They gave everything to Quintessa," I typed back. "Everything I worked for. Everything Mom promised me." Ryan's response was immediate. "I'm coming over. Don't do anything stupid before I get there." As I drove away from my childhood home, I caught a glimpse of my mother watching from the window. For a moment, our eyes met, and I saw something flicker across her face. Regret, maybe, but then Marcus appeared beside her, and she turned away. 3 years of my life, 3 years of early mornings, late nights, missed vacations, and cancelled dates. 3 years of learning every aspect of the business, of earning the respect of our employees and clients, all of it handed to Quintessa on a silver platter because her father had wormed his way into my mother's life and convinced her that his precious daughter deserved my inheritance. My phone buzzed again. "We'll figure this out." Urine walked to the window, watching the traffic flow below. $2 million, I repeated. That's enough to start something real. It is, Virginia agreed, but Alex, this won't be easy. Starting a business never is, trust fund or not. I turned back to her, feeling something I hadn't felt in days, hope. Nothing worth doing ever is, right? There's one more thing, Virginia said, her expression serious. If you accept this challenge, you can't tell anyone about the trust fund. Not your mother, not Marcus, not even Ryan. The money must appear to come from your own savings and investors. Your grandfather was adamant about this. Why? I asked. He wanted your success to be yours alone. No one could claim they helped you or that you had an unfair advantage. I nodded slowly, a plan already forming in my mind. Can I take these documents to review? Of course. Virginia gathered them into a folder. Alex, your grandfather believed in you. He saw something in you that reminded him of himself. As I stood to leave, Virginia called after me, one last thing. Marcus called yesterday asking if you'd been here. He seemed concerned about any potential legal action. I smiled, thinking of my stepfather's worried face. Let him worry. I've got better things to focus on now. Walking out of the office building, I finally replied to Ryan's messages. Meet me for coffee. I've got an idea. My grandfather had given me more than money, he had given me a chance to prove myself, to build something of my own. Unlike the inheritance my mother had promised, this was something no one could take away from me. I looked up at the sky, silently thanking my grandfather for his foresight. He'd known I might need an escape route, and he'd provided one, but only if I was willing to work for it. Challenge accepted, Grandpa. An eco-friendly business? Ryan stirred his coffee, raising an eyebrow. That's quite a pivot from corporate finance. We sat in our favorite coffee shop, laptops open, surrounded by the buzz of afternoon customers. I had spent the last hour outlining my ideas, careful to avoid mentioning the trust fund. Think about it, I said, turning my laptop to show him my research. The market for sustainable products is exploding. People want to feel good about their purchases, but they don't want to sacrifice quality or convenience. Ryan leaned forward, scanning the screen. And you're thinking what exactly? Biodegradable packaging solutions for businesses. Everything from takeout containers to shipping materials. I pulled up another tab. Did you know most companies want to go green but can't find reliable suppliers? The few that exist charge astronomical prices. And you think you can do better? I know I can. I opened my spreadsheet. I've already found 3 potential manufacturers who can produce at scale. If we can streamline the supply chain and build direct relationships with businesses, we could revolutionize the industry. Ryan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. Heads up. Quintessa has been asking around about you. Apparently, Marcus is worried you're planning some kind of legal action. Let them worry, I said, thinking of the folder from Virginia sitting safely in my apartment. I've got bigger plans. Speaking of plans, Ryan said, lowering his voice, how are you going to fund this? Starting a business isn't cheap, and you just lost your job. I prepared for this question. I've got savings, and I'm planning to approach investors. My experience at Mom's company gives me credibility. Alex, Ryan hesitated. Are you sure you're not just doing this to prove something to your mother? I'm doing this for me, I replied firmly. Mom made her choice, now I'm making mine. The coffee shop door chimed, and I froze as Quintessa walked in, wearing her usual designer outfit that screamed trust fund baby. She spotted us and sauntered over, pulling up a chair without asking. Well, she smirked. Planning your next career move? I heard HR is hiring. I closed my laptop slowly. Actually, I'm starting my own company. Her laugh was sharp. You? A company? With what money? That's none of your business, Ryan cut in, his tone icy. Look, bro, Quintessa leaned forward, her voice dripping with fake concern. Why don't you come back to the company? I could use someone with your administrative skills. I appreciate the offer, I said, keeping my voice steady, but I'll pass. Some of us prefer to build something of our own rather than having it handed to us. Former family business, I corrected. I'm building something new now. He nodded slowly, then reached for the contract. Let's start with a 3-month trial at 2 locations. If it works out, we'll discuss expanding to all 30 restaurants. My heart soared, but I kept my expression professional as we shook hands. Outside his office, I finally let myself smile. Our first major client. My phone buzzed again. Quintessa had left a voicemail. Against my better judgment, I played it. Hey, bro, heard you're making waves in the eco-friendly space. Let's grab coffee. I have a proposition that could benefit us both. I deleted the message and called Ryan instead. We got it, I announced when he picked up. The restaurant chain contract. I knew you would. Ryan cheered. This calls for celebration. Drinks tonight? Can't. Meeting with potential investors tomorrow morning. Rain check? You're working too hard, Ryan sighed, but I could tell he understood. Just then, I was cut off by another incoming call, my mother. This time, I ignored it. Still not talking to them? Ryan asked. Nothing to say. I reached my car, juggling my phone and briefcase. They made their choice. I'm making mine. Back at our small office in the co-working space, I found Quintessa waiting by my desk. She wore her usual smirk, but something about her expression seemed forced. Nice setup, she gestured around the modern space. Very modest. What do you want, Quintessa? Can't a sister check on her brother? She perched on my desk. Actually, I have a business proposal. Mom's company is looking to go green. Good PR, you know? We could use your services. I stared at her. You want me to supply packaging to the company you stole from me? Come on, Alex. It's just business. Think about it, guaranteed contracts, stable income. Mom feels bad about how things turned out. This could be a way to keep you in the family business. I have my own family business now, I replied, setting down my briefcase. And we're doing just fine without your help. Are you? She picked up a prototype container. These startup costs must be killing you. Where'd you get the capital, anyway? That's none of your concern. I took the container from her hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Mom's not going to like this, Quintessa called as I walked her to the door. She thinks you're being stubborn. Mom lost the right to an opinion about my choices. I held the door open pointedly. Send my regards to Marcus. After she left, I sank into my chair, hands shaking slightly. They were getting nervous. Good. The restaurant chain contract would be announced next week, and then everyone would know Green Shift Solutions was a serious player. My phone lit up with a text from Sam, contract signed and sent to your lawyer. Looking forward to working together. I smiled, thinking of my grandfather. He'd built his empire from nothing, facing much bigger obstacles than I was. The trust fund helped, but the vision, the work, the determination, that was all me. Opening my laptop, I began preparing for tomorrow's investor meeting. Let Quintessa run my mother's company into the ground. I was building something better, something sustainable in every sense of the word. The future was green, and I was going to lead the way not as my mother's son or Quintessa's stepbrother, but as my own person, as my grandfather's grandson. The sustainability conference hall buzzed with energy as I finished setting up our Green Shift Solutions booth. 6 months of hard work had led to this moment, our official launch into the broader market. Press badges mingled with corporate name tags in the growing crowd. Hi. Everything looks perfect, Ryan said, adjusting our banner. The prototypes are getting a lot of attention already. A reporter from Business Weekly approached, notebook in hand. Mr. Alex, I'd love to get your thoughts on disrupting the sustainable packaging industry. Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the crowd. Disrupting? That's a bit ambitious, isn't it? Quintessa stood there, wearing a suit that probably cost more than our booth rental. Behind her, my mother and Marcus lingered, watching the scene unfold. What are you doing here? I asked, keeping my voice level. Industry events, bro, open to all players. Quintessa picked up one of our display containers. Though calling these revolutionary seems like a stretch. We're launching our own eco-friendly line next quarter. Actually, he knew I would need a safety net. I took a deep breath, processing her words. So you knew all along? I didn't know the specifics, but I had my suspicions. Your grandfather was always protective of you, and I thought I was doing what was best for the company by giving it to Quintessa. I see now how wrong I was. I looked at her, the woman who had once been my role model, now sitting across from me, defeated. You thought handing over the company to someone who had never worked a day in her life was the right choice? I thought she could bring fresh ideas, my mother replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I was wrong, Alex. I see that now. Mom, you didn't just make a mistake. You betrayed me. You took everything I worked for and handed it to her. I know, she said, tears welling in her eyes. And I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake, and I can't take it back. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but I quickly pushed it aside. You made your choice, and now you have to live with it. I know, she repeated, her voice breaking. But I'm here to ask for your help. We need you. The environmental violations are serious, and we can't fix this without someone who knows what they're doing. I shook my head. You had your chance to keep me in the family business, but you chose Quintessa instead. Now you want me to bail you out? Please, Alex, she pleaded. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for a partnership. We can work together to turn things around. Why should I trust you? I asked, my voice steady. You didn't trust me when it mattered. I was wrong, she said again, her voice filled with desperation. I see that now. I thought I was protecting you, but I was only pushing you away. I leaned back in my chair, contemplating her words. You want me to come back to the family business? After everything that's happened? I want you to help us rebuild, she said, her eyes pleading. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking for a chance to make things right. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope. You think I can just forget how you treated me? How you handed everything over to Quintessa without a second thought? I know it's a lot to ask, she said, her voice trembling. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make amends. I'll give you a stake in the company. I'll make you a partner. A partner in a sinking ship? I scoffed. You think I want to be part of that? I'm not asking you to take over, she said, her voice firming. I'm asking you to help us transition to sustainable practices. You have the knowledge and the experience. We can turn this around together. I considered her words, weighing the options. And what's in it for me? A chance to save a company that doesn't value me? Your grandfather believed in you, she said softly. He saw something in you that I failed to recognize. You have the potential to lead, to change the industry for the better. This could be your chance to make a real impact. I looked around my office, at the awards on the walls and the growing team beyond my door. I've already built something of my own. I don't need your company to prove myself. I know, she said, her voice filled with regret. But I'm asking you to consider it. We can't do this without you. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision before me. I'll think about it, I said finally, my voice steady. But don't expect me to just jump back in. You've lost my trust, and it's going to take a lot to earn it back. Thank you, she said, relief washing over her face. I know I don't deserve it, but I appreciate you even considering it. As she left my office, I felt a mix of emotions swirling inside me. I had built my own path, but the thought of helping my mother and Quintessa turn things around was tempting. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but perhaps it was an opportunity to show them what I was truly capable of. I sat back in my chair, contemplating the future. I had come so far, and I wasn't about to let my past define me. Whether I chose to help them or not, I was determined to continue building my own legacy, one that would make my grandfather proud.